This is a man
Yes.
who said, I'm going to perpetrate a coup
Yes.
on the country. Now, we talk about this like it's normal now.
Excuse me, Whoopi, I got it. You just said this is a man who said, I'm going to perpetrate a coup on the country. That is a very bold statement. Do you have a screenshot or a video of Trump saying that? How about your producer? Do you have a video or a quote, just the quote, so we can show to the audience? You people are full of shit, aren't you?
So I love Damon Amani's videos that he does. He does these spoofs and he does an amazing job on them. He cracks me up all the time because it almost feels real, you know? It almost feels real. But let's get into actually the real clip that I want to show you guys. I want to show you Whoopi and the Hens absolutely lose their mind simply because a black man stood up proudly as a black man, as an American, and made a coherent argument for self-determination.
First question that I should ask you to do is explain to folks what you mean by this. Arguments for a colorblind America. What do you mean when you say that?
So a lot of people equate colorblindness to I don't see race or to pretending not to see race. I think that's a big mistake. We all see race, right? And we're all capable of being racially biased. So we should.
Right there already, they're ready. They're like, could somebody give me the pitchforks? Somebody else pass me the steak knives. We are gonna go in on this kid. Who the heck does he think he is? Sitting here trying to take away my victimhood in one book. He does not get the right to do that. So you already know they are mad about this right now.
Should all be self-aware to that possibility. My argument is not for that. My argument is that we should try our very best to treat people without regard to race, both in our personal lives and our public policy.
Of course.
And the reason I wrote this book, thank you.
And so what he just said was, we're not saying, when you say colorblind society, right? Nobody's saying, oh, you know, race doesn't matter. Oh, and it's not even race, yo. It's not even race. Because I don't look at people as, oh, what is that white person eating for dinner today? I'm like, oh, what is German food like, right? Because everybody has a heritage, right? You know, everybody has some sort of something they do. Or if they know mostly about like their American heritage, or what is a regular American dinner? And it always goes back to food, right? But you know what I mean? I want to know, what's a Lebanese meal? What is a, you know, and just anything like that, right? I'm not like, what do white people do? Now, there is something called anti-whiteism that I do speak out against. And I do know white people who are trying to, you know, be more stern in society and fight for their race. And I get that. I get that because everything is based on, you know, the white standard saying like, oh, we're all different from white people. Therefore, white people are bad because we're different from them. So I understand the point when somebody needs to like say like, yo, chill out with that. And, you know, and we've had enough, you know, but his point was perfect. They're not going to be happy.
The reason I wrote this book is because in the past 10 years, it has become very popular to, in the name of anti-racism, teach a kind of philosophy to our children and in general that says your race is everything, right? And I think that is the wrong way to fight racism. And that's why I wrote this book at this time.
I'm sorry, baby. Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing because we are taught, and he said, that's why I wrote this book at this time. Remember, that's why I wrote this book at this time. Let's let Whoopi play herself.
And I just point out that there is a reason for that. You know, when I went to school, getting any information.
That's why I wrote this book at this time. Okay.
About anyone's race was not taught. No history, there was no Black history. None of those things were taught. And here in America, 100 years ago when I was a young woman, that's how people saw you. That's how they judged you. So
that's not necessarily true, too. That might be her experience, right? But we never talk about the Black experience of the person who lived down south who was like, you know what? I got my business. I sell to, you know, to whoever has the money. And we have our own businesses because we have to serve each other, right?
I don't want to say it's your youth, but I think you have a point, but I think you have to also take into consideration what people have lived through in order to understand why there has been such a pointing of very specific racial things, like women couldn't get into colleges. If you are a Black person, there are a lot of colleges wouldn't accept you, trying to equal the playing field. I think that's what a lot of folks have been trying to do. I'm sorry.
Okay, so calm down. Whoopi can't even get her words together. She can't get her words together because she's like personally attacked about the fact that Coleman is bringing this argument.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think that's your experience, and that's valid. You know, as a counterpoint, when I was in 5th grade, we all watched Roots together.
Yeah.
In public school.
Yeah.
So these are different experiences.
Yes.
I think it's also different generations. It's different parts of the country, right? We have very different cultures all living together in one country. So I'm not going to deny that. But I view this notion of a colorblind society similar to the idea of a peaceful society, which is to say it's an ideal, it's a North Star. And the point is not that we're ever going to get there. We're not going to touch it, but we have to know when we're going forward and when we're going backwards. And we're going backwards when we're doing woke kindergarten in San Francisco, you know, with
They hate that word. He's right. And look, all right, wait, just they're so intimidating. She said once she heard woke, she got mad. You know, but that's the thing. The word woke has been bastardized into something else. I used to use the word woke all the time. I don't use it no more. Nope.
Class, socioeconomics is a better proxy for disadvantage. We all want to help the disadvantaged. And the question is, how do we identify them, right? The default right now in a lot of areas of policy is to use, you know, Black and Hispanic identity as a proxy for disadvantage. And my argument is that you actually get a better picture of who needs help by looking at socioeconomics and income. That picks out people in a more accurate way.
Exactly, because to say simply because somebody's Black that they're broken, I almost feel like that's racist. I mean, you know, I mean, like, wow. But if you would look, listen, I do believe in a government that helps its people. We don't have anything nowhere near that right now. So therefore, I'm not saying I want it tomorrow, because we do not have that now. Like, any kind of help you get from the government is really government control, but it is not supposed to be like that. When I pay my taxes, it needs to go back to the American citizen, okay? But I want to make sure that it goes back to the right American citizen. Just because somebody's Black, and let's say they're making, let's say a Black person is making $8 an hour, right? And then I'm just throwing out numbers, and then a white person is making $6 an hour. But then the Black person is going to get the program, simply because they're Black, but the white person is making less. So I want it to be triaged based on, like how he said, socioeconomics, instead of, oh, they're Black, here's the program.
Right. So, and
now this is when Sunny's about to lose her. She's a trip, okay?
Not my question, but when you say that socioeconomics picks out people in a better way than race, when you do look at the socioeconomics, you see the huge disparity between white households and Black households. You see the huge disparity between white households and Hispanic households. So your argument, and I've read your book twice because I wanted to give it a chance.
She didn't read it twice. She didn't read it twice.
Your argument that race has no place in that equation is really fundamentally flawed.
But it doesn't matter. We're not trying to figure out, see, no, it's not flawed, because we're not trying to figure out necessarily, even if we're talking about just a disparaged person, and maybe for the program or whatever, maybe the program is not trying to figure out this big, broad question. It's just who's eligible for the program. And yes, you are definitely going to see a huge gap between Black and white. Absolutely. And so that's for another program to find out what's going on. Maybe some Black folk will put a program together and find out why we promote degeneracy and everything else. And it's not all of us, I know, but those of us who are, quote, disparaged, right? Why aren't we focusing on the programs that are out here and how to be entrepreneurs or do something with ourselves? Why are we focused on the degeneracy? Because there's an element of that to it. She's coming at him like, oh, well, but there's a big difference. So now what? Okay, yeah, it's there. But we're still going to help the people who need help. So, okay, a lot of Black people are going to get help. So what are you even saying?
Well, there's two separate questions. One is whether each racial group is socioeconomically the same. That I agree with you. They're not.
Yeah,
Of
they're
course.
not. And the
The
stats
question is-
show that.
But of course, I agree with that fully. The
But
question-
why are you so mad about that? Like, it's like she's saying, agree that there's a problem. Something's wrong with us. It's the white man. It's like, yo, man, come on, man. Y'all be keeping people in this cage, man. It's not right. Because you're not in that cage, Sunny. You're out of that cage. Why would you keep somebody in that cage?
How do you address that in the way that actually targets poverty the best?
Great.
And what Martin Luther King wrote in his book, Why We Can't Wait, is he called it, we need a Bill of Rights for the Disadvantaged. And he said, yes, we should address racial inequality. Yes, we should address the legacy of slavery. But the way to do that is on the basis of class. And that will disproportionately target Blacks and Hispanics because they're disproportionately poor. But it will be doing so in a way that also helps the white poor, in a way that addresses poverty as the thing to be addressed.
In a way that addresses America. What is her problem? Well, hold up. Sunny is really calling for white people to be poor. That's what she's calling for. Help everybody but the white. You see, so that's why I'm saying I do speak against anti-whiteism, and I do understand when white people lock arms and say, you know what, I've had enough, okay? Because it's only appropriate that that's happening to them, like that they can be talked about in this manner.
And so many in the Black community, if I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a
Well,
Republican.
so how do you?
He's
how-
never
am I
voted
being
for a
accused of?
Republican.
You've said that you're a conservative.
She's so out of bounds that Alyssa had to even say, she's like, he's not a Republican. She's scared. And then she just sat there and called him a word like, trying to think of how to say it for you to think of a fluffy type furry animal, a raccoon. She just called that man. And she called him a charlatan. And I mean, this is disgusting. And this is why everybody's writing about it, because she went too far. She certainly did.
Conservative.
No, no.
No, you did. You actually said that in the podcast that you did 2 weeks ago.
I said I was a conservative.
Yes,
He's not.
yes, you did.
There's-
So, but my
He's
question
not
to
a
you,
Republican.
my question to you is, how do you respond to those critics?
Okay,
that
let's give
believe-
it. Let him
so
answer. Yes,
first thing I think it's very
Yeah, because like what are you about to eat him up? It's disgusting.
important. The quote that you just pointed out about doing something special for the Negro, that's
Yes.
from the book Why We Can't Wait that I just mentioned.
Yes.
A couple paragraphs later, he lays out exactly what that something special was.
Yes.
And it was the Bill of Rights for the Disadvantaged, a broad class-based
But
policy.
he also says
okay?
you must include race.
No, he didn't. He says it's
Yes, he does.
Okay, well, everyone should go read the book Why We Can't Wait. Let's not get sidetracked by that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been co-opted by anyone. I've only voted twice, both for Democrats, although I'm an independent.
Sunny hates people who vote Republican. She's so, oh man, I want to call her name so bad. And then I'm going to skip over to see how far this all went. Watching this is really giving me a visceral response. Oh, guys, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. I'm really disgusted at this behavior.
And I would vote for a Republican, probably a non-Trump Republican if they were compelling.
He didn't even have to say non-Trump. See, now that's you giving them the art. You are conceding to anything that they just said.
I don't think there's any evidence I've been co-opted by anyone, and I think that's an ad hominem tactic people use to not address really the important conversations we're having here. And I think it's better, and it would be better for everyone if we stuck to the topics rather than
But
make it
that's-
about me
But
with
it's
no
not about you,
evidence
but
that I've
I
been
just, I
co-opted.
want to give you the opportunity to respond to the,
I appreciate
your
it.
the criticism.
I appreciate it. There's no
And then
evidence.
this old witch, she couldn't even tell that you actually kind of hurt his feelings. I can tell. And she just goes back for more. She's so disgusting. I'm sorry.
That I've been co-opted by anyone. I have an independent podcast. I work for CNN as an analyst. I write for the Free Press. I'm independent in all of these endeavors, and no one is paying me to say what I'm saying. I'm saying it because I feel it.
Alyssa, you have the question.
Coleman, thanks for being.
I'm not even gonna go into Alyssa. So the fact is, Sunny did all of that because he's not the allowed Black. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth. They don't like Blackies who think on their own. They're like crabs in a barrel. These kind of people.